Hello, I'd like to welcome you today. Um, First off, let's congratulate you for making it through another year. This, of course, is right after New Year's. So, usually at this time is time that we reflect. It's time that we basically say, you know what, we had a good year. Now let's make plans for the next year. Let's try to find ways of making next year better, right? That's our goal as humans to improve ourselves, to find better goals, and to improve our outlook. I know that for me, the last couple years with COVID and everything going on was kind of stressful. So having that optimistic approach is something that we want to have. So down here in Southern Illinois, there's been a lot of rain. We really haven't had snow this winter, and the last couple days it has just been pouring. Well, water is a good symbolism in the Christian faith because it is reminds us of baptism. Baptism is when we also renew ourselves, right? We basically make a promise with God and say, you know what, we're going to leave the past in the past and we are starting afresh and new in you. Kind of like what Jesus was talking about with the woman at the well, starting a new life, forgetting about the past. So, like every church service, I always start with a message and a verse from the Bible. This verse actually comes from Proverbs chapter 4, verses 20 through 26. It goes like this: My child, pay attention to my words, listen closely to what I say. Don't ever forget my words. Keep them always in mind. They are the key to life for those who find them. They bring health to the whole body. Be careful what you think, because your thoughts run your life. Don't use your mouth to tell lies. Don't ever say things that are not true. Keep your eyes focused on what is right and look straight ahead to what is good. Be careful what you do and always do what is right. So, starting afresh, starting new, making promises for the year. What better way than to start bringing yourself closer to God? In the very first part of the scripture that I read, the author says, pay attention to the words. Listen closely to what I say. Basically, he or she is referencing what God would say. Don't ever forget my words, keep them always in mind. A lot of times, one of the things that I notice a lot of people that struggle with faith, whether it be Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, Hinduism, uh, whatever your faith is they tend to forget, right? Um, what some of us would call COE Christians, or basically we're Christians on the weekend, but on the weekdays, and well, God's gonna forgive me. God's gonna let that slip. Now, in the past, whenever I would talk about that, I was talking about people who did things that obviously were blatantly wrong or blatantly um, not what they made promise to God that they would do. Oh, I slipped. I did that again, but God's going to forgive me. But we're talking about the small stuff, right? Because later on in the scripture, we talk about lies and stuff like that. So there are some things that we promise, God. There are some things that we promise to improve our lives, to be a better person, and we don't do that. So, because we don't remember God's words, we don't remember our promises we made to God. Right? I know that for example, me, I cannot recite scripture. I have a friend, and it amazes me all the time. This person can recite any scripture. I mean, literally, it's like all of a sudden they'll say something like Philippians, blah, 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 and then they quote the scripture. And I'm like, okay, because I can't remember this stuff. It's okay if you can't remember things. Start with the simple stuff, right? What does God tell you to do? Love one another, right? Uh, treat each other with respect. And even his own disciples had a hard time with this. So when you start to when you refer back to that, what should I do in this situation? How should I interact with this person? Go back to that. In the second part of the scripture I read, uh, basically it talks about they are the key to life for those who can find them. They bring health to the whole body. Health to the whole body, right? That's what everyone wants to do during New Year's, right? Finding health, getting better, getting healthier, improving on ourselves. Where does the scriptures talk about health? Where does it talk about these are the keys to life? Well, in a way, if you start to live your life like Jesus was talking about, like some of the prophets, some of the judges, and uh, the leaders in the books, you start to hear about the health of life. You start to find these keys, right? I'm not going to tell you exactly where to find them because then again, that would take away from your own personal experience. But there are some tips in there. There's some tips on how we should live. Gluttony and okay, should we do this? Should we put wealth above everything? It's in here. The next part of it, basically, we talk about be careful what you think because your thoughts run your life. How true is that, right? How many times have you been in a situation where all of a sudden you get anxious and you're like, oh man, they're not going to like me. They're not going to like me. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this. I'm not going to get this. Well, guess what happens? Surprise, you don't get it, right? Because you let your thoughts run your life. Are you putting those personal demons in your heads, your self-doubt, are you putting them in your way? Maybe this year we need to focus on not letting your doubts, letting those thoughts run your life, right? If someone tells you it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay, right? People tell you you're going to get through this. Guess what? You're going to get through this. So let's put those things that when we ruin our lives with our thoughts, let's not listen to them. Listen to what we know is truthful. Listen to what we know is righteous. Don't use your mouth to tell lies, and don't ever say things that are not true, right? Lies can hurt you because a simple lie can turn into something bigger, and it turns into something bigger, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're in a situation where you don't want to be. One of the something that personally happened to me is there was a simple little lie, and that simple little lie, and I'm not going to put names on who did what, but this person didn't want to be truthful with me, and they had a simple little lie, um, and that grew, and that ate away at that person. And then all of a sudden, one day, it became too much because they had to cover up that lie with something else, and they covered up that lie with another thing, and they covered it up and they covered it up, and so then all of a sudden, they couldn't hold it back anymore, and they had to tell the truth. And when they told the truth, it was so much worse than it should have been. Because if they were honest that first time, they didn't lie that small little lie, things would have been better. Unfortunately, because of the situation, um, that person is no longer in my life. And I've tried over the years to forgive that person. And that's one of the biggest struggles I've had is to forgive the person because they weren't honest. And they used a lie to cover a lie. And like I said, it basically just like a little snowball going down a hill, it got too big for anyone to handle, and it ruined a lot of things. Keep your eyes focused on what is right. Look straight ahead to what is good. Be careful what you do, and always do what is right. There's nothing more I can say about that. So, just like how that verse ended, this year, let's look forward. Don't look in the past. Keep your eyes on the prize. Do what's right. May God bless each and every one of you. I love you. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.